Welcome students to another day in the food lab. Today we are going to be focusing in on how we can keep ourselves safe through not doing any cross-contamination. Cross-contamination is when the bacteria from one food crosses over into another food. And in particular, your meats cause a little bit of trouble here. Today we're going to be making some breakfast burritos, and the meat that we're going to be using is sausage. Previous to me starting this filming, I have assembled all of my ingredients, I have collected all of my equipment, and everything is sitting here at fingertip so that I can go ahead and cook. I have read over the recipe, everything makes sense to me, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Step number one with this particular recipe is to take and to chop your onions. Now you're going to notice I don't have any gloves on right now, and that's because we're going to be cooking in a half a second. The onion that you're going to get here in class is 1/4 of an onion, and it's got some of the skin on it that I don't want to have. I'm going to pull that off, and I'm tossing that in my little garbage dish. You're going to notice that it has rings right here, and I'm going to use those rings to help me do a little bit of chopping. I'm going to hold my knife correctly with my 3 fingers down here at the bottom. I'm going to make a claw, and then I'm going to slice these into 3 or 4 slices. Now I really don't know how much onion you're going to get because some of the onions are big and some are little. So you're not going to maybe put all your onions in. You maybe could, but we're not going to. I've got a funny spot right there. Now that I've got them in rings, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slice these kind of like if I were going around the clock with the dial. And I can use those. Can you see how they're just falling out into little tiny pieces? That is a nice little chop. I don't want to get them a whole lot smaller than maybe 1/4 of an inch. Let me go ahead and pull this up to you. You can go ahead and see that. Just a small piece, 1/4 inch square, and we're going to be good. My next step is to take my pan and put it on my heat and heat it over a medium temperature. You can see on my cooktop right here that I'm on a medium. I also want you to notice, and I don't know how well you can see this, but with this cooktop, but I've got the big burner on. Why do I have the biggest burner on? Because my friends, this is a big pan. I want to check to see if it's hot by using the water method. Take a little bit of water in my hands, and if it dances like that right there when I put it in, I know my pan is hot enough for me to begin my cooking. I'll place my oil, which is a pre-measured amount, which the kids here at school will pick up, already pre-measured. And I'm just gonna run this around my pan. Can you see how that's floating on top? That means my pan's hot. Then it says I'm gonna go ahead and put in my onions and my potatoes. My onions is gonna be 2 tablespoons, and I'm gonna kind of, rather than level it off, I'm just gonna kind of heap it a touch and pop that in there. And there's my 2nd tablespoon. You can see I have leftover, so I'm gonna go ahead and not put that in. I'm adding in my 1½ cups of hash browns. And these hash browns are a southern style hash brown. You can see them up here. And then I'm going to just grab this guy right here, my pancake turner, and I'm just gonna start stirring these around. If you try to put your hash browns in before your pan is hot, it's gonna wanna stick. Once you've gone ahead and coated everything, I want you to get the pan lid. This is actually our Dutch oven lid here at school, and place it on. Your instructions tell you that you are going to be cooking this for a total of 7 to 9 minutes. I'm gonna set this on 4 minutes, and then I'm gonna check the time, or I'm gonna check this at 4 minutes, and I'm gonna kind of turn some things over. Just give it a quick little shuffle. While that's happening, I'm gonna go down to the meanwhile section in our recipe. I'm gonna put this right now in my garbage can and place it to the side, and we will come back with that in a half a second. I'm gonna put my knife behind my faucet so that it's out of the way. I never wanna put this into the sink full of hot soapy water, because then someone who doesn't know it's there could reach in blindly and grab it by the knife blade, okay? All right, the next thing it says is I'm going to do the meanwhile A, which is to combine my eggs and my milk in a small mixing bowl. My eggs, of course, right here are 3 of them, and they happen to be a large. I'm going to hold this securely in my hand, and as we've talked before, we're going to give it a little bit of a wrap. Now, I'm going to tell you honestly, this is my favorite way to crack an egg. Crack it, and then with one hand, you're going to open that up. I like it because I can crack an egg and not get any egg white on me. Let's see if you can start practicing that technique. I'm going to put 1, 2, and 3 of my eggs. Now, even though this doesn't say so in your recipe, I am actually going to take, if you were to get egg white on your hand, you'd stop and wash them. Even though this doesn't say in your recipe to break these down and mix them up in the instructions, it's going to be easier if you actually do that. I'm using the wire whisk, and I am just beating that. I don't need an electric mixer out to beat necessarily. I can use a spoon, or I can use this whisk. I could also maybe use a fork if I wanted to, and mix that all together. It now says I need to have that milk in here. Again, students at school, this will be pre-measured for you. We'll pop that in there, and we'll just continue mixing. All right, once we have that all mixed up, we're gonna set this to the side and go on to the B. It looks like I've got some egg white on my countertop. I'm just gonna grab a washcloth real quick. It might be water, but let's go ahead and play it safe. And we're gonna put our piece of wax paper down. You can grate onto a plate, you can grate into a bowl. I've just got this obnoxious grater that likes to take and collapse if it doesn't have something completely flat. So here's my grater. I'm going to use the large grate, not the fancy grate. The large grate will go fast and easy, and as we've previously talked, it is a knife. The grater is a knife, so you need to be careful. I have put in, or what you will pick up at school is a medium cheddar. There are 3 levels of strength, well, 3 common levels of strength. There are actually more. There's a mild, a medium, and a sharp. And the mild is the most gentle flavor. Sometimes I think it gets lost in something like this. So I like to use the medium. Medium both tastes good when I eat it, just straight, it's not too strong, and yet it gives it a good flavor when I'm actually cooking. All right, that will go and could be washed right now. I'm gonna put my cheese back onto this little plate and get my wax paper out of the way. And it looks like I'm just about ready to check my potatoes and onions. That's been almost 4 minutes. So I'll now come back over here with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift up this lid, and when I do it, I wanna lift it so the steam goes away from me. I'm using a shield. I don't know if you can see that steam. Place this over here. I'm gonna turn my timer off. Let's see, timer, turn off. All right, and I'll just turn it up. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this, and I'm gonna start seeing some browning. Now, I think I accidentally pushed 4, and I want 3. I'm just gonna turn this real quick, and then I'm going to, you got it, place my lid back on. All right, I'm gonna just go 1 more minute down. Okay, that's good. And let it continue on. Let's look back at my recipe. My recipe says that we're going to take and grate the cheese. Okay, so I've done this and I've done this. I've done the, I'm finishing up right here. And when this gets done, it says I'm gonna put them into a pan, or remove them from the pan and keep them warm. So how are you going to do that while we're here at school? We have a serving bowl that I think is a perfect match for this. This is a plastic bowl. I don't want to get it on my cooktop. And then this is just a regular plate. You can use either the medium or the large size plate. And I'm going to put my potatoes right in here, and that's where they're going to take and stay warm. If I leave this off, of course, then the heat will come off of it, and then these potatoes are going to get cold, and I'd have to worry about reheating them. So we're going to keep them warm with this right here. While we're waiting on that, after this is cooked, it says we're going to go ahead and add the sausage to this pan. This sausage comes either in a chub, this is called a chub, or it's going to come on a styrofoam plate, and we're just using 1/4 of a pound. That means that if this is 1 pound, I've just divided it into 4 equal sections, and that's what you'll pick up when you do some cooking for your breakfast burrito. We're counting down, we've got 2 minutes, and as much as I want to get in there and stir it, I'm not going to do it. If you stir these hash browns as they're cooking, they shrivel up into hard little dried up pieces of nothing. So I'm going to let that just sit, and I'm going to be patient, which is somewhat a nemesis of all cooks. Back to this sausage. The sausage is going to have some fat in it, and depending on the sausage that you choose, that you pick up, you are going to have a lot of fat in it or not. This particular type of sausage usually has just a little bit of fat, and usually not enough for me to drain from the pan. All right? We're coming down here, and I'm just going to give it 30 seconds shy of being done because I am impatient. Trying to be patient. It's one of the things I'm working on. And again, I'm going to come back here now, and I'm going to lift that lid so that the steam goes away from me. I don't want to get burned. And there goes that steam. Woo! Maybe you can see that, maybe you can't. And let's go in here. We're going to stir this one more time. You can see some of that golden color brown in there. And now we're going to put it into this bowl. I got to take the lid off. And as I do that, I'm coming down with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. I'm going to turn off my timer, and let's go ahead and put this into our bowl. I don't even have to put my pan down. Look how that slides out, almost like it's clean as a whistle. Look at that pan, and that's because we got it hot before we actually started cooking. I'll take this lid now, and I'm going to put it on top of my potatoes, and we'll come over here to our sausage. And the sausage I just kind of left in the plastic container. I'm going to use my kitchen shears to cut through that, and then I'll just roll that in there. And I'm going to take this sausage, and I'm going to break it up into small pieces. Okay, and I don't want them to be so small that they're like the sands of the sea. They're going to be no bigger than a marble and no smaller than a Tic Tac. All right, so I don't want them super, super tiny. And the thing that we're doing is we're trying not only to cook it for cooking's sake, but heat kills bacteria. So if there was any bacteria in this sausage, it's not going to be there for long because we're going to kill it off. Okay, I'm just about, I think, down to that part where they're about the right size. So at this point, I'm just going to kind of stir them and turn them over. This is called a pan fry. What's it called? Did you say pan fry? If you did, you're correct. And we're going to just stir this around. Notice how my pancake turner, I have it upside down. And just kind of keep going. And I'll do this until I cannot see any pink. Now, if we overcook our meat, we cook too high of a temperature too long, our protein source inside of this meat, it reacts to it. It becomes tough, chewy, dry, and it makes it hard to swallow. We don't like the crustiness of it here. We want some moisture in it. So we're going to watch this color very carefully. And you can see I'm starting to turn brown on some of my pieces. Just going to keep this moving, but I'm not chopping it. And I'm going to do this. Look at it. I got one piece that's pink on one side and brown on the other. So kind of get things turning around and just carefully stir this around. When you get to the point where you say, I have no pink, which is where I'm at, I'm going to get a big piece, my biggest piece. Maybe I think it's that one right there. And I'm just going to break it open. You can use a pancake turner. You can use a fork. And I'm going to use the fork to turn it over. And it looks like no pink. Perfect. So my instructions tell me now Here, I'm going to take and remove the grease if there is any. And maybe you can tell from here, I don't have hardly any grease. And I'm down on number 8 at the bottom. I'm adding these potatoes back in here, and I'm going to just kind of quickly stir them. Then I'm going to add my egg mixture in. And I'm going to stir this together in. Ooh, that was careful. Ooh, I almost went over the edge of the container. I might want to get my flexible spatula out and help me with this. And I'm going to just scramble this all together. Scramble this all together until there's no moisture with the eggs. I can see if there's wet. I'm going to keep cooking. It's like I got some spot over here that I don't have quite mixed in very well. There we go. All right, just kind of sit there, and now I can go a little bit more slow and turn that over. Turn that over. All right, I think we are good. No more moisture remains, no wetness from the eggs. There might be some gloss to some things like the potatoes, and that's because of the oil that we cooked them in. But I think we're good to go. I'm going to turn off my heat, and I'm going to slide this from my burner. I'm just putting it on another burner. Now, my instructions, going backwards just a little bit, is I need to take and heat up some tortillas. Now, at this point, I am going to put on some gloves because I am preparing food now that is no longer going to be cooked. So I'll put these gloves on, and then I'm going to take my tortillas, and number of people that are in your group, that's the number of tortillas that you'll take. So I'm going to take 4 just for our sample, and I'm going to run these over to my microwave, and I'm going to heat them for about 30 seconds. So pardon me while I run over here. Pop these in my microwave and just hit my 30-second button. I'm going to place these guys out of the way. They're ready to get washed. If you had a dishwasher, or if I had a dishwasher here at school, they could get started on that. And I'm going to start make an assembly line place for all of my food. Let's grab this. I'm going to take this out of my way. Let me do this. Out of my way. I'm going to grab my cutting board, a new cutting board, and place it right here. It's like I'm just, 30 seconds, sounds like it's up. Grab my tortillas. What heating does for these tortillas is it takes the fat that's in there and softens it just a touch. I've got just a little bit of moisture on my cutting board, so I'm going to remove that. And then my instructions say that I'm going to put 1 tortilla down, and you might want to put all of your tortillas out so you get an even amount. I'm going to take some of my scramble, and this right here, I'm going to kind of make a hot dog shape with it. It's going to make it easier in a half a second. Then I'm going to grab a little bit of salsa. I've got a spoon right here. If you don't like salsa, don't put it on. But I think you're a little crazy. That's just me speaking. You're going to grab a little bit of cheese. We're going to run cheese down the middle of this. And then we're going to do a burrito fold. Now watch carefully as I fold this burrito. And if you get these too full, which mine almost looks like it might be, we're going to find out. We're going to have a mess. First thing you're going to do is you're going to fold in the ends. This makes it so the guts of your burrito don't fall out all over. And I'm going to, can you see how I'm kind of pressing down on that and up over the top? Then using all my fingers, I'm going to take this now and I'm going to roll it up and over, and then I'm going to tuck it in on top. Can you see how it's right there? I'm going to tuck it in underneath, and then I'm going to finish rolling. And again, what this does is it makes it so that, let me show you if I can, it makes it so that this end is tucked in. Can you see that end all tucked in? Then I can eat it without it pulling or falling all apart on my lap. So my friends, this is a yummy, yummy breakfast burrito, and I'll tell you, delicious to the taste, and you'll enjoy every bit of it. You'll make as many as you need for your group. If you have leftover of this, that's just fine. Put it to the side and you can use a spoon and eat it up that way. Enjoy. We'll see ya. Bye-bye.